Hello, my name is Jamie Birchall, and you are listening to and or watching our podcast called Wormhole Pinball
Wormhole
Presents.
Pinball presents.
Wormhole Pinball Presents. Today, I'm very, very excited to be joined by two great individuals. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by a very special guest.
And today I'm very excited to be joined by two awesome guests all the way from Arizona.
Hello, and welcome to our podcast we call Wormhole Pinball Presents, a series we started to highlight those in pinball and arcades. I'm your host, Jamie Birchall. And for episode 49, we have a very special holiday episode, if you will, with the amazing team of Project Pinball. So let's go around the horn and introduce yourselves and the role you play with this wonderful charity.
Well, my name is Daniel Spoler. I'm the Senior Director, Founder of Project Pinball Charity.
I am Taj Nicely. I am Project Pinball Charity's Marketing and Communication Specialist. I also do some grant writing and kind of a jack of all trades. Whatever people need me for, I can help with. So,
Well, this charity is Project Pinball is near and dear to our hearts here at Wormhole Pinball. Okay, I was talking before that we are 501c here, C3. Excuse me, I always mess that up. And so I'm going to be picking your brains a little bit about your process as well. Not only kind of delving into what is Project Pinball, but also how did you get started from this little acorn to this mighty oak, right? How did this thing grow? So,
yeah.
does everybody live in Florida? You guys live in Florida?
Well,
Tom?
I live in Michigan. So I'm up north
But the charity was founded in Florida, is that right?
It
in
was.
Florida, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Pittsburgh, and one day I woke up. I was a construction worker. It was another day of being cold for 10 hours plus, and I said I'm done. So I drove south until I hit sand and water, and I ended up in Fort Myers Beach, probably like 34 years ago. So I've been here ever since. But the charity did grow up in Fort Myers. We found a pinball machine that was in our local children's hospital at the Galasanos Children's Hospital of Southwest Florida that needed our attention. A friend at the time, she went into the local oncology. It was a Chrissy Brown oncology ward, and there was a pinball machine that was dedicated by a family that lost her child a couple years before from his cancer battle with cancer. And they thought so much of the care that they received in that hospital, but that they put a plaque on the side of the machine that would just bring you to tears. You could really feel the pain of their loss, and they wanted to use this machine as a memorial and a way to give back to other people that might be in similar struggles, going through similar family problems. So we found it in such a state of disrepair because it was played so many times in 2.5 years. It actually received 21,332 plays.
Wow, what machine was it?
It was a Spider-Man. It was a
Okay.
Stern Spider-Man put out in 2007, and we found it in 2011. So our mission at that point was not, this mission that we have nowadays. It was a singular focus, just to raise some money for this machine that was in front of us so we could return it back to the children's hospital. So when the machine was leaving, it was really touching because the parents and the kids were really concerned about where this machine was going. And we had to promise them that we were going to fix the machine up and return it right back to its home. So what we did was we went out on Facebook, and you could still see it on our Facebook page. We started a campaign that was Save Spider-Man for the Kids campaign, and we were trying to raise money because this thing needed a lot of parts, a lot of funding to put back together. So we had people reaching out to us, giving donations, and it took 112 hours for me to pretty much restore the machine. I had to rip everything down on top and bottom and just touch every single mech and assembly in that to restore it. When we were bringing it back, again, we didn't set up any fanfare. We were just doing our duties, fixing this machine. And when we just started offloading it, people started gathering around and they were actually, really happy. They were applauding and cheering that their machine was back. So, there was a lot of information that was being thrown at us in that moment. For one, think about 21,332 plays in 2.5 years in a hospital location. It wasn't like it was an arcade or a cafeteria or somewhere where it would have, a lot of people finding the machine. Here it was in this ward that was pretty isolated. I would say, this is a guess, probably had 23 rooms in this ward, but yet it was receiving all these plays. So I wanted to find out more. So with the help of the staff there, it was doctors, nurses, child life specialists, even the administrator of the hospital, was sharing testimony with us how much they needed this machine and how therapeutic beneficial it was. And then we had a chance to talk to the small patients when we were put this machine on a maintenance plan, so it wouldn't fall in disrepair. And we started talking to the patients and the siblings and the parents and started getting their testimony. And it started to fill out this picture of how therapeutic one pinball machine could be in that setting. And that pretty much transformed us to singular focus on fixing, this one Spider-Man pinball machine to maybe venturing out to, look into our state of Florida, maybe to do this in the children's hospitals in our state. And, simple math, right? Simple, not knowing all the information at the time. And, we wanted to, help other families. So we were thinking it was in Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Miami, and maybe Gainesville or Tallahassee, the major cities, right? So we were thinking 5 at that time, but then we started doing research and we found out it was actually 11. So it pretty much doubled our, scope of, what we were going to try to accomplish here. So at that point, we started the Spider-Man renovations in 2011, and we started looking into incorporating and then becoming a charity in 2012, 2013, the paperwork went through. So we can reach out to the state of Florida, and it gets even bigger just with the communication that people had through Facebook. And I was doing pinball tournaments at the time, trying to raise money for, what we were trying to do. And then also we heard other people, asking, if we could do it in their backyards as well. So we were looking at other places like St. Louis and San Francisco were coming to some of the first ones that we did, only because people were in the community saying, hey, can we do this here? So we really had to sharpen our game. And, we went from just 11 in our home state to, over 700 children's hospitals in the United States. So we took it from our focus on our state to across the nation. So yeah, it grew because it needed to grow. And, I want to say this first and foremost.
Please.
we couldn't grow without the help of, our supporters out there. The support that we received when we were trying to get to Spider-Man, up and working was tremendous. And it's been growing ever since. We have a great following out there. We remain grassroots. We, try to be super transparent. And I say grassroots because we show where the money comes from, where it's going to, and the final results. That way everybody could share in that process. I believe that is very much needed for a charity, especially nowadays. Everybody's working really hard for their money. Not saying that they weren't before, but it seems like a lot of people are stressed out with inflation kicking off, and everybody sees that their dollar's not going as far. So we really have to, have people keep faith in us that we're going to do what we need to do through our pinball charity. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
and
much
like,
the condensed version.
No, it's great.
yeah, yeah, like we always say, every dollar counts. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a thing. In the beginning, I'm not good at asking for money. I grew up in a
It's
very
hard.
modest family,
Yeah.
that's why I'm
and
here.
I'm not good at asking people for money. I was taught, to work hard and, succeed and save your money. And when we're at the shows, I see people come up and they reach into their wallet or their pocket and they pull out, maybe a single dollar. And I could see the look on their face that they're really upset that they can't give more to the charity.
Yeah,
But as Taj was saying, we feel that, that is a treasure. That's one more dollar that we did not have a moment ago. And thank you for putting that faith into us. So we really, really, stress that every dollar counts, every quarter, whatever, you want to say, it does move us forward. So we really feel that, even to this day. It's how we get there. We had steady progress from the very beginning. We went from one machine to currently at 81.
81.
81.
81.
Yeah.
When did
So,
when did the relationship with Ronald McDonald House come about?
Mm.
oh, that's a good question.
I'm, I'm gonna
It
look on
had
our
to
website,
be,
see when the first one was.
from my memory, I believe it was 2014. Um, I believe that was the case. The first Ronald McDonald House that we did should be Columbus, Ohio. What happened with that is we had one in the Nationwide Children's Hospital, and we had a great community. Columbus they would do these fundraisers for us. They would do these fun pinball tournaments, and the money that they raised, they would donate 100% to our charity. So if people do not know this about our charity, I want to stress this, that 100% of the money that is grown in that community stays there. 100% of it. That way, their efforts are felt in their local community.
Oh,
So,
that's
like I
great.
said, we had a hook, a data east hook in the Nationwide Children's Hospital, but there was a Ronald McDonald House that was right across the street. And this is a pretty weird, twist to this as well. And, I wouldn't mind seeing people's comments down below if this is going to be open for comments.
It will be. This is taped, if you will, and we'll release this podcast on Friday.
Because I would love to know this because I struggled with this greatly. And I'm going to introduce it here, and I would love to have people's feedback. Um, Brad from VP Cabs, what he did and he built in the company that he built was video pinball. Okay. And, to me, I actually fell back in love with the regular pinball machines like you see behind me. I'm a collector just like you, through video pinball. So when Brad said, "Hey, we would like to help you guys out with the Ronald McDonald house," I had to pause for thought, saying, "Is this what Project Pinball is?" It's not officially pinball because
Right.
it's not a mechanical thing. Um, the video screen for, this video cabinet kind of takes it away. It doesn't have operating mechanics. So I struggled with that greatly. And two things were, one is it's not going to, break down. Don't have to rebuild flippers and mechs like you do a regular pinball machine. So that was something that was going for it. And the other one is, would it serve the same purpose as a regular pinball machine? Would it be that distractor for the kids
Mhm.
to take them out of that moment, maybe of stress, and relieve that while they were playing games? And the answer was yes. So it was
Absolutely.
not an easy one because we want to stay pure to, what we started, but I figured this was close enough where it could be a bridge to the real thing. At that time, it had, real games on there, real tables. The old Bally Williams, the old Data East were ingrained into this video pinball. So I figured it could be a bridge to the real thing. What's your thoughts here?
Look, the more that you can get little patients to flip anything, I think is fantastic, right? Uh, Anything that we can do to take their mind off of their treatments is just a brilliant idea.
Well, I figured that was what our goal for the charity was, to
Okay.
add comfort to what they were going through. And even the parents could play it as well. And a couple times I did hear the parents recognize some of these, older machines that were in the video game. They recognized it from their youth, their childhood. So that was a kind of a neat connection as well. So I think we didn't want to get into the video games. We've been approached about that as well, where we were approached about putting in, full-size arcades, and I felt that would be stretching the boundaries too much. And the person that was asking us to do this was very capable of doing it, um, through their community. They were really, really big in the video side of things. They were part of, I hope I say this right, King of Kong, right? Is that the right title? They were a part of that. So,
Great.
I asked them if they wanted to, have my help. I would help them, but, I wouldn't want to be a part of it directly. For one, our charity took a lot of my time and my focus, and I didn't want to dilute that at all,
Mhm.
especially with the different phases that we have, um, on our docket, so to speak. For one, phase one was children's hospitals. Phase two was Ronald McDonald homes. Phase three was um, assistant living, facilities for these older games. Um, Phase four was for um, rehabilitated services, and phase five was for schools that had special needs programs, maybe children with autism.
Love it.
So, did we want to add another phase six to this? No, not at that time. We had a full agenda in front of us, and it starts out slow. You build a strong foundation
Absolutely.
before building too quickly, and that's what we were trying to do. And I hate to say this, but it's 100% true that we did slow it down. In the beginning, we would have to search locations for children's hospitals, and we would approach them, and we really learned a lot how to approach that environment, how to approach Ronald McDonald Homes and the other ones. So at a time we weren't ready. We were getting requests from different children's hospital. They would find out about us, and we didn't have the funding for it. And that's the one thing that we wanted to stick to is, we wanted to focus the community to raise money for the needs in their backyard. So we really got good, and with the help of Taj coming on board, we really organize different areas across the United States that we find a need, maybe a Ronald McDonald House or Children's Hospital are reaching out to us. We approach that area and say, hey, we have a need. The Children's Hospital is asking us or similar for us to help them. And usually we get a sponsor, a spokesperson in that neighborhood, and they start raising money through, tournaments or bake sales, as I like to say, whatever they're good at.
Whatever.
Here, whatever helps them to raise money. And again, 100% of that money goes back into this request that we had in that community. I think that's where our charity excels, because people, when they give to the charity, and, I use this phrase, I think that I came up with it because it's how I felt giving to some bigger charities, that, you felt the need to help other people. So you give to these charities, and I call them black hole charities because the money seemed to go in, but it was swallowed up, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
And that wasn't rewarding. I didn't feel good for my hard-earned money. And I was hoping that they did, what they said that they would set out to do. But a lot of times that wasn't shared with the public. And that really hurt. And I think there's a lot of other people out there that feel the same way. They don't see, feel, or hear about that impact, so they're disconnected. And I think that's one of the strong points that our charity tries to make, that connection with those communities, saying your hard efforts are going right here to affect the people in your neighborhood, in your community, right down the street.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, and a lot of those people that are involved in that, we invite them to the dedications. Like, we want them to be there. We want them to see it and experience firsthand why they've been fundraising so hard. And it's just cool to invite them. I mean, we've had in Phoenix, Electric Bat Arcade came out to one of
Uh,
our dedications. That was awesome. I mean,
I love
so
them.
many other communities. Yeah, we love them. And like Starfighters Arcade, they were part of that as well. And I mean, just so many people. Hanger Pinball out in Tulsa. I mean, yeah,
And you
we
get
love
to see
to
the
work with the community.
results. You get to see the fruits
Exactly.
of that labor, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Pinball
that
machine.
was what was difficult with COVID going on.
Right.
We could not
Yeah,
get
people couldn't come.
the people that were, part of making this happen. COVID was a weird year for us, just like the rest of the world, right?
Mhm.
With such uncertainty of, what was up, what was down, type, fogginess, right?
Yeah.
So much information. So as a charity, um, we were unsure of, our foundation and, our direction at that point, because of all the information that we received. In March, our phones pretty much, I had to, dial out to make sure the phones were still working, right? One
Right.
of those deals. And all of a sudden in the middle of April, we started getting a lot of phone calls, to our surprise. It was actually the Children's Hospital, Ronald McDonald Homes, that were so busy during normal, times that they didn't have time to return our call or, ask us for more information. All of a sudden, they weren't receiving patients in the children's hospital. They were putting off any kind of operation that wasn't, critical or crucial.
Right.
So they had a lot of time on their hands. So they started reaching out to us, and we were really busy from April on. Um, and I was quite surprised that they actually wanted us to start traveling to their locations. And through their protocol that they had in place, we had to come up with our own safety protocol to go on the road. And it was actually, we placed 7 machines in 15 days across the United States, which was mostly, in the east, northeast. But my God, each night we were in a different town, and it felt so strange being out onto the highways where, you could tell that, something was definitely, impacting, um,
Yeah.
the way people were living. And I say this because the best way to, relate to this was, it was like a zombie apocalypse, because
Yeah.
everybody's seen, The Walking Dead, and, there wasn't cars and zombies walking around, but, there was definitely a, desertion that was happening, and it was quite airy, and it made us feel very, very vulnerable at the same time, because it was a constant reminder of what we were doing. And we did this in the December of 2020. So it wasn't like there was a whole bunch of information that, was coming out. The vaccinations were,
Right. Yeah, it was scary
received
times.
by us. Yeah, we were testing before we went on the road. We were testing 20 days out, 10 days out, right
Yeah,
before
plus
we
you
were
have
on
to
the
test
road.
before you could enter a children's hospital,
Yeah.
you know.
We were doing testing on the road. We had a temperature gun,
Mhm.
thermometer. I'm not sure what to, but we were doing our
Thermometers.
temperature.
Thermometer. Yeah, Tosh gotcha.
Yeah, we did it. I would say every time that we thought about it, we were
Yeah,
doing it like 12 to 20 times a day. Um, just each other. Sierra went with me, and we were checking in, through our phone or computer, and we wouldn't see anybody. We were doing drive-in food and staying isolated. Even in the hospitals, we were all masked up. We had face shields on,
sure.
and I even a couple times had surgical gloves on, because again, we didn't have the information, and we never
Right.
posed a risk
Especially in
to
December of
people.
2020. I mean, we didn't know what
Yeah,
the heck was going on.
it was
Yeah, I
really,
mean,
really weird times.
yeah, and the environments are already so sensitive. I mean, we tell everybody who comes to the dedications, our first priority is the safety of the patients and the families inside. And so then to add everything else on top of it, it just makes everybody's systems on alert. It's like, what else can I do to protect them?
I'm gonna
Well,
go ahead. I'm
there's
gonna
something that tied to this story that I feel that I have to
please.
share. Um, I'm deeply disappointed by myself in this, and I failed, and I want to share this with everybody. Um, we were at Helen DeVos up in Grand Rapids, and we were doing a dedication up in Michigan of a Guardians of the Galaxy. And the news station came in by the request of the hospital, and we were doing this story. And the news station was fantastic, and we were standing there with the news group and a couple people from that community. And all of a sudden, a boy walks in, and he has his cart, and his IVs and his treatment bags are, attached to his arm. And he comes in, and you could see that, definitely he was receiving chemo. He didn't have any hair on his head, and he had this mask on, right? And he walks in with this blue surgical mask, and he walks up to the machine, and he wanted to find out more about it. And the joy that I felt in that moment was tremendous. You could
Yeah.
see, the opportunity for joy in this kid's eyes. But years later, when I was dealing with the pandemic, on such a level, I was going into these hospitals, and we were masking up because we didn't want to be a risk to, our surroundings, right? To people there. So it started getting me thinking about that day at Helen DeVos, and I was so disappointed with myself. I should have did better. Here a child's walking in, and his immune system is deficient, right?
Mhm.
And he's protecting himself from us being in that room. And I'm so disappointed that I didn't realize at that time that we should have been protecting him. We should have been masked up. We should did everything that we could. I was cleaning my hands. I was always a big, you know, um, I always clean my hands, but I could have did more. And I was so disappointed. And, by wearing a mask, if I wear a mask, it's not for myself that I fear for, it's for everybody around me. And it got me thinking it's my responsibility to make sure that, I'm taking care of the people around me. And that includes that boy that I failed, in Helen DeVos that day. And, I say this as a learning, experience. We do have our failures, but, it's how we you know, make ourselves aware and better for the future. So thank you for, allowing me to say that and sharing that.
Oh, and of course. I think anyone I was sharing with you, Daniel, a story that we had, and I'm going to ask you a bunch of more questions on the foundation and the charity, but we there's a charity here in Houston called Chance for Hope. And I'm going to tell you a quick little story on it because it's near and dear to my heart. Chance was my son's very close friend, and we lost Chance about 13 years ago to brain cancer. And the family, like you, said, how can I help? What can I do? Because I don't want to just give to cancer research and then not go anywhere. I want to see something. I want to feel it. So they started with an idea, and they said, one of the hardest things we had to do when we were meeting with trying to see Chance was there was nowhere to stay in the Houston Medical Center. So they had the idea, we're going to start a foundation called Chance for Hope, and we're going to buy one apartment. They have 7 apartments.
Fantastic.
They deliver food on Sundays because there's no food at some of the hospitals on Sundays. They they started dances for the kids that can't go to their school dances, and we provide pinball machine to them.
Amazing.
The, and we're going to be having an event here in Houston in 2025, Chance for Hope, and we're going to do an enchanted night at the Wormhole. But if anyone has ever seen a child playing a pinball machine that is struggling and fighting for their life and the joy in their face, this is why we're doing it. This is a passion project for us, okay?
Agree.
And you identified a, a problem that we've got to fix Spider-Man for these children because it's had 20,000 plays and you have 81 machines out, right? They started with a problem. They have 7 apartments. And we are just so proud to have you here. And I'm so proud to talk to anyone that will support Project Pinball because this is something that is near and dear to the Wormhole's heart. As a 501c3, we look forward to a partnership with you and continuing to grow this great charity of yours as we grow our own and get our footing, right? Um, so
Yeah.
I
I mean,
want to share that.
one of the things I love the most is we are a nonprofit who supports other nonprofits. I just love that so much. I mean, obviously we have our own mission and we care for our people, but I love working with other nonprofits and seeing their growth and how we can help each other. It's really cool. That's why we're here. We should support each other.
I mean, being a nonprofit doesn't mean that you can't make money. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, a nonprofit is a tax status, ladies and gentlemen, for those that are listening, right? But what I really believe that this tax status allows us to do for individuals, families, and groups is to fulfill charitable passion projects. That's what I really, really believe, right? So, question for you here. How do you keep everyone motivated? You went from a little idea, you have 81 machines. I'm sure you all have day jobs. How do you keep the passion on this team?
Well, just like you guys, right? You see the need for it. And that's how I shared it started with me. I could recognize the need, but it actually goes back to personal experience for me. When my son was 14 years old, almost 15, he was diagnosed with leukemia, misdiagnosed, but he was diagnosed with leukemia, and my world came crashing in with a phone call. I knew that I knew nothing about leukemia other than it was a form of cancer, and I needed to know more. So I was on the, in a public library at that time and on the internet and trying to find out more information about leukemia so I could find out, the questions that I needed to ask to get the answers that we needed to move ahead. And, it was that that I could relate to with, how my family was struggling, how my family was being impacted by this, because it's just not my son that was going through the illness, it was the whole family.
Mhm.
And I knew what I felt. And when I go to the children's hospitals, Ronald McDonald homes, wherever we're placing these machines, I have that ability to connect to what I was feeling at that moment and how isolated and overwhelmed I was. And not saying that everybody's going through that, but I know that people are struggling in their own way. And I could relate to the struggles that I was in. It helps me motivate, every single day to go out there and help other people through their struggles because I knew this was before child life specialists. This is before I
Yeah.
knew about, Ronald McDonald Homes and their mission. So I really felt isolated. I never want, a person to go through that, not if I could help it. And our whole team has their own, ability to relate. And I think we're all super passionate. Everybody that comes on board, has to, have that feeling. We don't have anybody just putting, time in, punching a time clock and putting in hours. I think we're all motivated by, you know, pushing ourselves to do better for, the people in need out there. And, even Taj, I felt her passion from the very beginning. The first time that I met her was in Chicago, and she was helping us out with our endeavors there, our auction. And, she heard the story that I told about, the charity. And then I heard her, say a similar connection that she had with our charity through different words. And I love that. I don't want people regurgitating, what I say and what I feel and how I look at the charity. I want other people to look upon what we're doing and make it their own. And I believe she felt that from the very, very beginning, even before she was part of the charity. And I'll let you tell your story.
Yeah, for me, before Project Pinball, I did not know pinball was such a huge world. I didn't know anything about it. Yeah, it was quite fascinating coming into Pinball Expo and seeing that there's like a whole weekend dedicated to this. And I started playing and I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. And then I started thinking on my end, I've had so many people in my family pass away. I mean, my dad passed when I was 9 from cancer. He spent a lot of time in the hospital. And my dad wasn't a huge gamer, but I just think like if he would have had something there to keep him busy and just to get up and do something, would that have helped
Yeah.
him in any kind of way emotionally, and just all the other people in my life? And then I think about me, like, what if I was in that position? What would I need and feel? And as a child, what would I want and need and feel? And so I try to just put myself in other people's shoes and positions. I try to be sympathetic and empathetic, and just try to help in really any way I can, whether that's social media posts, whether it's sharing fundraisers or helping at dedications or telling people that live here in Michigan with me, like, hey, have you heard about our machine at Helen DeVos? You know, just they're like, oh, didn't even know we had one here. So I like talking about it and connecting with people and hearing their stories and validating them and knowing that there's people out there to help in all different kinds of ways, even in Finland. So yeah.
That's amazing. A couple of questions for the foundation itself. I mean, does the foundation own the machines or do you gift them to the hospitals?
We do not. We own the machines.
Okay.
Only and people, you know, they jump on both sides of the fence on this, and I really don't care because if people remember how the charity got started, it was from a broken machine that was donated to the Children's Hospital, and it never received maintenance in 2.5 years of that time until we were able to find it. So we knew, placing a pinball machine, just like a car, it needs routine maintenance.
Sure.
You need to change the oil, you need to throw new tires on it, whatever. The same thing with a pinball machine. And why would we pose a problem for the Children's Hospital when they do not know anything about how to restore a pinball machine?
Exactly.
So
So
why would we introduce that element into our charity and say, okay, we did our job, here's your machine, goodbye. And
have
then all of a
fun.
sudden, 2 years later, it's, the worst case scenario is for that machine to be broken and hit the dumpster, right?
Right.
We don't want that to happen. So people say, well, what if you decide to pull it out of, that Children's Hospital or Ronald McDonald House? Yeah, that's part of our agreement that we have with the Children's Hospital. If we see them abusing the use of this machine or it's in a janitor's closet and not being used, we have
Hmm.
the ability to go in there, reclaim the machine, to repurpose it maybe into another children's hospital, Ronald McDonald House, or something similar. We have control over our asset. So it's not that, we're not fulfilling what our mission does. We just, our donation is the use of the machine.
Yeah.
And if a machine breaks down, which we had happen before, it was out in Stony Brook, Long Island. We had a Wizard of Oz that was there receiving, it was like over, 40,000 plays. I think it was like 47,000 plays, and it couldn't work anymore. So you're looking at a game, if you're familiar with the game, you know that it has 5 flippers on it.
Yeah.
So, think about the scenario. You're going to open up a, dirty game because the solenoid dust migrates everywhere in a sterile environment like a children's hospital. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So what we had to do was we had to get a donor machine, which was a home version of the Spider-Man pinball machine, and
We
we
have a heavy
placed
metal
that.
right here. It's the same machine.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a great machine. It's a
It's
basic
perfect.
machine, but it's a great pinball machine.
Yeah.
So we switched them out. That way they weren't without a pinball machine. We took it back to a shop. We had someone help us out with restoring the machine, rebuilt the whole thing. We called up the hospital and said, hey, we're ready to return the machine.
Oh,
They asked us, could they keep the Spider-Man instead? And we're like, yeah, 100%.
yeah.
If you would rather have that machine, that's fine by us. So what we did was we took the Wizard of Oz, and it's now in New Haven in a Ronald McDonald house there.
Perfect. Everyone's happy.
So, it's not like, we're selling these for, any kind of gain. And, like you said, we run as a business, but the IRS recognizes us as a, charity.
Yes.
But we operate as a business, and people
Yes.
said, what if you sell that machine? Well, if we did sell that machine, we would repurpose the funding into,
A new machine.
doing more good. So
Yeah.
I never understood that argument when I know the purity of our mission. It's not like, we're selling machines that are bought just to,
Right.
I don't know, be nefarious and, do these other things. No, we're putting pinball machines in children's hospitals.
Right.
That's
I
our mission. And
exactly.
now our mission has grown to the other phases that I mentioned. We have a great machine. Um, it was an older machine. We call it School Days now, but it was an older machine that's up in Lockwood Elementary School up in Michigan, and it's in a classroom with kids with special needs. So
We-
we love that machine,
Yeah.
and we love helping out those kids and the joy that they have for that. So why would we, start selling off machines for other things? We're just so entrenched in, helping people through pinball that, we just wanted to grow. And this is kind of funny. Here's a new question I get asked all the
All right.
time.
Let me hear it.
Was, in the beginning, did we set a number on what we would recognize as achievement, as success? What number of machines would that be? And honestly, we never had a number, ever, ever.
Great.
It was always one more. You know,
Absolutely. That's the answer.
yeah, we're going to this location, one
Yeah.
more. But, as we look back and we're at, a number of 81, yeah, that's a huge, mile marker. When you're traveling, you look at the miles that you put on, right? From the very beginning. And that's all it is at this point. It's a great number, but I could think of other numbers that are higher that would be, to my liking as well, and to our charities, you know, to show the impact that we're having. So I think that question is really, you know, something great that we could reflect upon, but the number is not 100. People ask me that, will you feel accomplished when you're at 100? No. Maybe it'll be 101, maybe 102, maybe 103. We don't know. I think that people feel that, it's they could see the journey as well in the number, and that has to serve that purpose right there. Does that make sense?
It makes a ton of sense. I view building a charity as building an just a company, being an entrepreneur. I own a small staffing firm, my wife and I, when we look at our numbers, it's never good enough. We
Yeah.
have to continue to grow. And again, from a little acorn grows a big tree. So I am always in the belief of one more. One more is the proper number, right?
Well, just like the chance for Hope Foundation, you went from one apartment and now you're at seven.
Yeah.
What number do you put upon that where you're like, okay, we arrived and we could, do no more.
I
Uh,
know.
I mean, it's really hard to put on that as long as you see a need. I think that growth is always going to be there.
Absolutely. My son went door to door selling pretzels so that he could buy a couch for one of the apartments.
Oh,
Right.
that's fantastic.
And
I love that.
it was just like he just wanted to build. He's like, "Can I get a couch?" And we're like, "Yeah, you can get a couch. How do you want to get a couch?" He's like, "I don't know." Well, you like these pretzels. Why don't you sell them door to door? And he literally went throughout our small town of South Houston and got himself multiple people to go buy a couch for that sixth apartment, or maybe it was the fifth. But
That's
yeah,
amazing.
it's just little things like that.
So that's the secret right there. The best salesperson is a person that believes in their product. So your son found something that he enjoyed and they wanted to share it with the world.
Yeah.
And
Pretzels.
it makes it less frightening when you're selling a product that you tried and tested and
Yeah, he
meets
made
your
good pretzels. There were
satisfaction.
some spicy pretzels, and he went door to door and he got him a couch. I think it was actually a love seat, not a full couch, but it is what it is. When did
Couch is the couch.
a couch is a couch? When did you guys start raffling machines on YouTube? That seemed like a good fundraising move, right?
Well, it was introduced to me actually. I used to go to a local tournament. It was held up in Fruitland, Florida here. It was Curly's little shop of games. And he would always do like an open house, and it would be a fun little tournament with my friends from Florida. But he would always raffle off a machine. And I always thought that was neat. You knew someone was going home with a brand new machine.
Yeah.
And at that time, the games were, you know, around $4,000. And but, it was still a lot of fun. You seen someone win, a pinball machine and they were taking it home, that evening. That was very cool to me. So, as a collector myself, I want to share, my passion for pinball with other people. I always had open houses where people could come over and I would say, here's what I do. And, people could try it out and, maybe they enjoyed it as well. I heard a lot of people say that, it was a really the best family fun night that we had through the Rotary Club that they ever done. And so it showed the connection. So with the raffle, all it is a 50-50 raffle. And
Okay.
people are probably familiar with that.
Sure. If
You
you go to
know,
a ballpark, any baseball park,
exactly.
50-50 raffle.
They do the same thing. The churches would do it. The fire
Yeah.
volunteer fire department would do it. So I thought that was always really neat. And when Curly was doing it, I'm like, wow, that's a great idea. So I called him up and said, hey, do you mind if I do what you introduced to me? And he's like, no, fine, do it. So it's a 50-50 raffle. We pay for the machine, on 50%, and we use the other 50% to help our program to place pinball machines. And 100% of that goes back to our pinball placement program to allow us to place machines. So it's a real pure mechanic, real simple math.
Yeah.
So the entries, the pricing, again, is real simple. All you're doing is pricing out how much the machine is costing, then double the entries from 100 to 200, and there you go, 50-50 raffle.
50-50 raffle.
And we been doing it since the fall of 2014. Um, and
Awesome.
we've been doing, I don't know how many raffles.
I was going to ask you, that's my next question. So you might
People
have to
could
guess.
go
That's
to our
a
website
great
again.
question.
People could go to our website and you'll see when it started, you'll see the very first winner because again, we're very transparent with that. So people here could go right to our website, projectpinball.org, go to the raffle page. You'll see all the winners of whatever we did through raffles. Even if we get an older machine and we raffle that, that's there as well.
Great.
Our Toys for Tots raffles are there as well. So again, it's very transparent. It shows how many raffles. I'm not big on numbers like that. Again, it's not showing our success or, accomplishment. I want to feel that every time that we have a dedication. In
You,
that moment, I want to feel that we achieved something that we needed to for that moment, then move on to the next moment.
you
Um,
just raffled off Evil Dead. How was the reception to that raffle?
oh my God, that was so remarkable. But the testament is to Spooky in their desirability for their company and their titles. Um, they do a lot of fringe titles out there, like
Probably
Rick and
not going to
Morty.
put an Evil Dead at a hospital. Probably not.
Yeah, yeah. Evil Dead, Rob
No,
Zombie,
you might not do that. But they have a Looney Tunes
Oh,
and they have,
they have a
Scooby-Doo.
Looney Tunes. Yeah, we were talking to Bug and Morgan about that. Um, about getting one for a hospital. So, but they do a lot of these great titles, and we do offer them up because, again, I'm a pinball enthusiast, and we love Spooky. They are so fantastic. And, from the very beginning, they've been so supportive of us in what we do, and we support those guys too. I think they're very passionate about pinball. It just shows, they've been around for, many, many years now. Their first game was American's Most Haunted, and
Mhm.
now we have the Evil Dead. I mean, it's just amazing. And the first one was pretty special. We had 001. So the very first one coming off the
I
line went
know. I didn't
to one
win.
of our supporters, which is, I think that's super, amazing. And then we did another one. It was another collector's edition, and that sold out equally as quick. So it shows, you know, the attention that people have on Spooky's titles and the support that they have for what they're doing. So I think that's fantastic.
It is fantastic. Congratulations on that. I don't want to hold you too much longer, but I do want to ask you any fundraising goals and projects you have for 2025?
Yeah, we have a new one that Taj was leaning towards it. She didn't go there because I know that she wants to talk more about it. Um, is we want to do something for you guys. We want to do something, Chance for Hope Foundation. As she alluded to, we do help other charities out there because I think that, we're all, pushing to make our planet better. And why not help other people with their achievements? So if we could plug into our audience, our donors, our supporters, and show them there's a need in Houston, Texas, let's do it. Why
There
shouldn't
is a
we?
need in Houston, Texas, and we need to put pinball machines in these and let these little patients and play it.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
think one of the key things is knowing somebody in the hospital too. So fundraising, of course, is important, but if we can find a child life specialist or somebody in a Ronald McDonald house who's in the pinball community, somebody knows someone, that's always a huge key factor that gets our foot in the door too.
Well, we're
yeah,
gonna make that happen, Taj.
because this isn't a race. This is not a race.
No.
It's not who gets there quicker, faster, better.
Yeah.
This is a journey that we're all on, and we need to help other people, along their journey as well. You know,
Absolutely. It's a
uh,
passion project for all of us, and the joy that we have for pinball to give that to people in need is just, tickles me, guys. Gets me.
so we want to circle back around. We want to hear more about your charity as well and plug
Absolutely.
ourselves in and, let's see what we could do. And as you can see, we're into a new place here and, we want to do fundraising here, similar to, what you were saying as well, where we could introduce it into our community and help maybe do fundraising for, Ronald McDonald Homes here. And the money would go directly for that goal. And as a charity, we could help facilitate that. Maybe
Absolutely. You put a
make
flip
that
frenzy
connection.
there. You put a flip frenzy in your background, and you have people from the Ronald McDonald House playing against each other. They're going to have the best time. They're going to have the absolute best time.
Yeah, I think that again, it might be self-serving for my passion for pinball. I love seeing people play and enjoying it, just like I feel. But at the same time, we know that it's expanding, you know, the feeling of goodwill. You know,
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that never touched a pinball machine, and how can they relate to our charity unless they're, you know, placed in front of a machine? And what's really funny, and you could use this to make that connection with, uh, new people that never touched the machine before. I have them playing, and after they're done, I'm like, you were probably thinking about work or, your busy day or something like that. And the response is always that people start laughing because they know that they were totally engrossed with playing the pinball machine. As soon as they plunged it, nothing else mattered for that moment. And they were just concerned about, keeping the ball in play and trying to achieve that, disconnected them from any other emotion that they were feeling in that moment. And they could have had, a lot of world's problems going on, but for that moment, they weren't thinking about that. So building that connection with people from the community helps them to realize why, as a charity, we choose to do this, why, as a charity, you choose to do it,
Hmm.
and how we could get back in that moment. It's that connection. So, I welcome, bringing people in out of the community to try it out firsthand.
Well, I am so happy to have you both here today. The massive number of sponsors that are listed on your website, projectpinball.org, is a testament to how you develop such a large group of partners and people that believe in your cause. So congratulations on that. What a pleasure it
Thank
was
you
to
very
speak with you
much.
both. Please visit projectpinball.org for more information on this wonderful charity. And please consider donating. Click that How Can You Help button right up top. And let's get their goals for 2025 and let's get to 82, 83,
Yeah,
84.
keep it, continue. And that's a great, that's very kind words coming from you because with you involved with the charity, you have the insight of what it takes to, take a vision idea and making it happen. So I take your words of kindness really to heart on, what we're trying to do here. And again, any way that we could help you guys with your mission, just, reach out to us anytime.
Absolutely. You're going to get sick of me, Daniel and Taj. I'm sorry.
No, that's not possible.
Ah, bet. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Am I missing anything in the outro?
Mm,
I don't think so.
no.
We got a big year coming up in 2025. This year we placed 11 machines, so we're hoping to achieve those numbers, and it looks like it's going to be a busy year for us. But again, we're going at the pace of our community. So, like you said, donations always help. It
Absolutely.
Yeah.
helps us allow to reach, that much further and sometimes even quicker. So yeah, we could always use everybody's help out there. So I'm going to leave
Yeah.
everybody to that. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Taj. Happy holidays, Daniel. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Projectpinball.org. Ugh, appreciate you so much. Happy holidays.
You too.
Thank you so much, Project Pinball, for coming on this podcast right before the holidays. Please donate $5, $10, $20. It means so much to these children. And if you've ever seen a picture of a little patient playing a pinball machine, I'm telling you, that's why we do this. So, so much going on at the Wormhole. Back to regularly scheduled programming in January. and our Monday game streams will be coming back. So that was a nice little break for the Wormhole. If you've not heard, I don't know where you've been, but the Wormhole's hosting the Pinball Community Awards on February 22nd, 2025. For more information, especially ticketing information, there's a few tickets left. Please visit twippies.com. Speaking of the Twippies, I need to schedule a few test streams in January, really live on YouTube and Twitch. We really need viewers to come on, help us get the sound right, get the video right. We want everything perfect for February 22nd. So be on the lookout for some of those streams and come on and yell at me and tell me how my audio sounds. We have a new segment on the podcast that we'd like to introduce. At the end of each podcast, we're going to be doing something called Be on the Lookout. These are rare pins that the Wormhole is looking to buy or trade for right now to add to our collection. So here we go. Be on the lookout for machines made by a French manufacturer of pinball machines called Rally. We want to hear from anyone that has any of those titles for sale or trade. Also, be on the lookout for Japan Sega titles, not Sega USA, but Japan Sega titles. We're looking for a few of those as well. So each podcast, I'm going to be listing many of the pins that we're looking to acquire. So be on the lookout and hit us up on all the socials or wormholepinball@gmail.com. Thank you again, Project Pinball. We really appreciate you coming on this podcast, and we are so excited to be partnering with you moving forward from 2025 onward. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday season. From Wormhole Pinball, I am Jamie Burchell. Take care.